While Ukraine fights for European democracy, Germany manages to distract itself for a week with some good old pandemic nonsense. The government gets embarrassed in the Bundestag, tries to figure out what to do if we run out of gas, and argues about speed limits. Meanwhile, Boris Becker gets himself in a mess. Time for some rave fuel.
For Megan's Megacan. I'm Megan. I'm here in Berlin with Konrad Werner. Hi, Konrad.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. It's good to hear.
Are you feeling cold here?
I'm feeling a little bit cold. Yeah. It was a day where we can use my least favourite, but also the only one I ever use, German saying, which is Der April macht was will, which is, for non-German speakers, April does whatever he likes.
Yeah. Also, I haven't turned the heating on because I'm following Robert Habeck's advice and I'm saving on energy.
Good. So, me too.
Bring a big jumper.
Turned mine off. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why the only reason I mentioned that. It's just in case you.
It's very good of you, and it's not too cold in your flat though. I'm on the ground floor, which makes it a bit difficult because if it is actually cold outside, my flat becomes.
Yeah, you get like a lot of cold through the ground. You don't get to share the heat with the
lovely other warmth of other people's houses. No.
Okay. Anyway, it's nice that you're here.
It is.
I'm glad that we're here.
Yeah.
Still here.
Still here.
Still doing this.
Yeah. And we've entered another level of podcastery, haven't we?
Oh, yeah. Well, we started a Patreon page.
We did.
Yeah. Obviously, the podcast is going to be free still.
Obviously, yes. We like that people actually listen.
We like to. But now, we have actually had a couple of small financial donations in the past.
We have. Very kind people.
I thought I could give people the opportunity, if they would like, to donate a Megacan or 2 Megacans to do a show.
Yeah.
You can go on patreon.com/Megan's Megacan and there you will find we have 3 levels of membership. You can become a Megacanner and you can give us a tiny bit of money
wonderful.
For us to.
You can also just listen as well.
Yeah, you can just listen to. I mean, obviously.
Megacan with us. I really hope that people do drink along.
I'd like to imagine everyone's
terribly difficult to do sober.
I like to imagine people huddled round their wireless, listening to us, sipping on a
mega, and thinking, "All right, let's get the news over with."
Yeah.
So
you can do that. So we have this, and
I think people can ask us like questions and stuff if you join.
If you join it, well, yeah, I don't know. Like, we maybe in the future, one day we'll do special exclusive content for members, but we haven't got that far yet.
No.
But what we've done now is, if you pay a certain amount of money, I put it at €6, you can ask us a question.
That sounds good. I mean, ask me really anything.
And if you give us more money, then you can request a story for us to cover with our normal forensic journalistic scrutiny.
Really squealing and outrage.
But yeah, so just go on the page and have a look, and if you feel like giving us some money, you can, but if you don't, then that's fine too.
Yes.
Anyway, what are we drinking this week?
Well, Konrad, when I showed these Megacans to my friend, he said, that just looks like peak Berlin, because what we have here are mate megas.
Oh.
I have never had one of these before, but I don't think they're new, but they've been sitting, I bought them and I was like, these are amazing, I'm going to bring them on the show, and then they've been sitting in my fridge for like literally months for some reason. I don't really know how that's happened, but they're here.
These have been in your flat for months.
Yeah, and they're called Frau Mate. One is mate and vodka, one is mate and gin. Which one would you like?
I'll try the vodka, please.
Ooh, good. Because I kind of wanted to taste the gin. I can't imagine that gin and vodka mate is going to be very good.
So Frau Mate, is that a real person? Or
I have no idea. There's a wee picture on the front of a person. What I like is it also says Rave fuel.
Wow. Jesus. Yes. What's going to happen when we drink this?
Well, I think this is the problem why I haven't been bringing them is because either on Friday nights I tend to come straight for work, so I haven't been able to pick them up. But on a Thursday night, I felt like, because we've been recording a bit on Thursdays, but I felt like we couldn't, I don't want to do something called Rave fuel on a Thursday night.
On a school night?
But yeah.
You can't do Rave fuel.
Let's see.
Okay. It says wild und rastlos. Cheers.
Cheers. Don't smell it. Oh, God.
Well,
is yours kind of tasteless?
Well, it's not sweet for a start.
No.
Normally, Megacans are very sweet.
Mine is a little bit sweet, but yeah, it's more of that mate. I'm not sure about this. I mean,
I don't know. Well, I'll tell you halfway through. I think what I think of this. So it is. I guess it has, unlike other Megacans, it also has caffeine.
Obviously, in Berlin now you can get. I don't know if this is a Berlin thing or if it's all over Germany, but like Club Mate was the original, which is this like mate tea based sort of soft drink thing.
Yeah. Is that what people drink in raves?
This slightly reminds me of, so it used to be when you would go to the clubs, which I honestly cannot remember in any meaningful way, apart from if you ordered a vodka Club Mate, they would give you the bottle of Club Mate and you'd unscrew the top. And then you'd have a quick amount of time to drink as much of the mate out of the bottle as possible. And then they would fill up the rest with the bottle with the thing. And then you'd put the lid back on and mix it.
And then you could...
I don't know if people still do that.
I mean, that's the kind of thing I used to do when I was 16.
Yeah. That's why we love clubbing in Berlin.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, then I suppose this is that.
Do you know what? It just tastes like mate with quite a lot of gin in it. Although that's quite good, it does taste strange. I think... Usually Megacans taste so artificial.
Yeah, seems like
and this is actually, and I think it is made by like people in Berlin.
Yeah, it's a local Berlin company.
It's not for children or pregnant people.
Because of the caffeine, but it's also, I mean, it's also got alcohol.
It says caffeine in this, but no, also booze. Don't give it to children or babies.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
All right, but we've got booze now, so we can start with...
So we can start talking about the news.
Oof, right.
Giving ourselves a warm glow with which to head into this week's horror and misery.
Yeah.
So what happened this week? I think a lot of German people were probably quite relieved because the big debate this week was the Bundestag vote on the Impfpflicht. And I think a lot of people were like, okay, that sounds like a normal thing for us to debate and not have to think about the horror of war for a bit.
Yeah, because now the Impfpflicht used to be the big thing, but of course the pandemic is still going on.
So the government, well, nothing apparently.
Oh,
no,
so this
we're not
is an Impfpflicht for who? Was this universal?
Well, they were going to. The thing is, the government didn't bring its own proposal in. So what they did was because the government couldn't agree, because the FDP was against any kind of Impfpflicht, the government left it open to MPs to bring their own proposals in, and so different MPs brought in their own proposals, and there was no majority for any of them. But the one that Scholz, the Chancellor, and Lauterbach were supporting was this compromise option, which was over 60s.
Yes.
Should be obliged to get vaccinated, but that also lost, and it lost by a lot. I mean, it lost by over 100 votes, which was bad because like Annalena Baerbock came to the parliament, especially because people were expecting, like Scholz called Annalena Baerbock to come to the parliament, especially to vote, because they thought it was going to be close, and it wasn't close.
And wasn't she at some kind of...
She was at a NATO meeting. She was supposed to be at a NATO meeting, but yeah, and it lost by 378 against 296 for, so a bit less than 100. But it was a big loss. Yeah, so there's not going to be any Impfpflicht, and Lauterbach says it's now going to be very difficult to fight the coronavirus, but we just have to move on, and he expects a summer wave. Now he's like, oh, this is really bad, we should have had this, and and there was a lot of infighting, also because the CDU wouldn't allow its members to vote with their conscience like the other parties did, because it was like an open vote, but the CDU said no, we're going to vote as a bloc. So they even if some CDU MPs had been in favour of the over 60s compromise, they weren't allowed to vote for it because the party whip, the party line was kept. So a lot of the SPDs and the Greens were really pissed off about that, and they were also pissed off against the FDP because they had like no compromise. Yeah, it looks really bad for the government because this was like a thing that they really wanted to bring in when they came to power.
Also a thing that we really need.
Yeah, well,
and I think this was just perhaps really, I mean, obviously there's a big debate around the sort of, there's people that I know that are actually sort of medical that are against an Impfpflicht. But they're not in Germany, so they're maybe not dealing with such high levels of people who don't want to get vaccinated. So I don't know, but maybe it's poor timing. Like, I feel like there was definitely appetite earlier this year for that amongst also but now kind of things have opened up. We're sort of pretending like Corona's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, I think that's what's happened. And
we're also horrified by what we're seeing in Ukraine. And
yeah. And also, I think that because the numbers were really exploding in the autumn, and now we've just got used to the high numbers, and now they're actually, the infection rate is actually going down.
I know, it's like the news announces they have gone down slightly, and it's from an incidence of 3,092 to...
So I think the popular pressure wasn't there which would have maybe forced the parties that are against it to change their minds a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a mess for the new government, and now everyone says, the SPD and Lauterbach are letting themselves be, driven around by the FDP. I'm translating from German in my head. Rumtreiben. What do you say it? They're hostage to the FDP's hardliners. Because
and
they say, like, how can this be? Because they're the smallest part of the government coalition and can't they make an agreement?
It was going to be their job of being like a wee thorn in everyone's side. But, democracy.
So, yeah, I mean, that's what it is, isn't it? I mean, it's democracy. And there was a very lively debate in Parliament the other day about it. And people are very passionate. So, yeah, do you want to know what the vaccination rate is in Germany? I've got the numbers here.
Oh, yes, please. I haven't looked at this. I used to know all this stuff off by heart.
Yeah, you did.
I did, didn't I? I'm like, I don't know. It got... Oh, maybe will we?
You got really excited when it ticked over 50%.
Oh, God, it was amazing. Right, tell me.
So, at least one jab is 76.6%. Mm-hmm. 2 jabs, 76.1%. And 3 jabs is 58.9%. Which is low, but I think
that's low. Because if you look at like how close the first and second ones are, that means basically no one is getting vaccinated, and no one will, because you don't have to do it anymore. So if you've waited this long, and again, I'm not speaking to people who cannot have the vaccine for whatever reason, which is probably still a relatively small percentage, and people who are under 5, is it just for the over 5s now or something? Anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it means like new people are not, but not only that, but people are obviously not getting their third one. 20% of people who've had both, probably some time ago, have chosen not to get the third one. But it's also this fucker of a disease, and I really don't want to give any credence to anti-vaccine things, but people seem to be getting real sick and having a crap time when they're boosted as well.
Yeah, and about 200 people are dying every day.
Yeah.
Still, which is quite a lot, really. Anyway.
Okay.
So that's what's happened.
That's checking in with the plague.
It's similar. There's a similar debate going on with the on a tangent here, but with the speed limit on the Autobahn. Do you know about this? This is like a perennial German debate.
Yes.
And now, because everyone is saying we have to save on gas and save on energy and save on oil, it makes a lot of sense to introduce an Autobahn speed limit, because Germany famously is the only country in Europe that doesn't have one. You do save a lot of petrol if you don't go so fast. And the FDP is blocking that as well. And they haven't actually... And you know what reason they gave? So everyone was like, why? And everyone knows the real reason is it's like their signature policy. It's like they hang their...
Lads get to do what they want in their cars. Yeah, but we're also going to pretend that we care about education.
Yeah, I mean, and so the transport minister is FDP. And he said, we don't have enough road signs. That's why we can't have a speed limit on the Autobahn, because there are not enough road signs. Everyone was like, that is the worst excuse.
Meanwhile, in Ukraine, I've heard that mothers are writing on their young children's skin in biro contact details of their family members in case they get killed and the child survives. Why would we even temporarily, because they're even talking about temporarily reducing it, aren't they? Just during the crisis.
Yeah. Would be that.
You know.
I know, yeah. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, it's awful.
Fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
And I know it's not like obviously these things are complex, but sometimes...
I mean, that's just complex? A simple thing. Everyone says, it's also it's a simple thing that could be brought in tomorrow, and it would be something that, like, there is a majority of public opinion in favour of, and it would also help the generally reducing, climate stuff, whatever, the whole climate thing would be, and but the FDP just like, no, you're not having that.
But this is also like, they are such a small portion of the electorate, or voted for them. Not such a small portion, but relatively. And again, this is something we talk about quite a lot, like people assuming things, I think, about the electorate that are not necessarily true. Like, I think most people, if you explain to them, look, this is a really effective way of us saving gas so that we're less fucking reliant on that maniac who's killing children. And everyone like, yeah, cool. But instead we have these politicians who are like so afraid of...
No, and there have been surveys about that saying that people are willing to pay more for energy if it means, not funding Putin. People are willing to pay for this.
Yeah,
and
but we won't do it because we're worried in case it comes back to bite them politically later, which I also don't know. Yeah, wouldn't it just be nice if we were able to hear like an IPCC or whatever report like in 5 years and goes, you know what, guys, it was a bit hard at the beginning, but we're actually getting towards those targets. Good job, everyone. Thanks for being like the politicians for your bravery and the people for your whatever. Yeah. But instead we don't. We're locked in this eternal like, oh, well, the people won't go for that. And this particularly like demonization that happens, I think, of like working class voters, or where it's like, oh, people will just want like this, that, or the other, or like the average person just wants this, that, or the other. And I just don't think that's necessarily true. Just make it easy for us. Like, we can't help.
And actually,
God.
in other survey news, the Robert Habeck and Annalena Baerbock are currently the most popular German politicians.
I heard this.
And people they're getting a lot of praise, especially because they are what people perceive them as being quite honest about these problems. They say it is gonna be a problem. Things are gonna be more expensive. But that's the only way we're going to get out of this. And didn't
Habeck actually say, and people were like, an economy minister that's saying this will make us poorer. Yeah, and I think that's okay.
And Habeck has also this week or last week, he introduced this 3-level early warning system. Would you like to hear about that? For gas shortages.
Gas shortages. Bring it on.
So we're in level 1 now, which is the early warning system on the early warning system. That means there are signs that a supply emergency could develop in the future.
I can imagine there are, yeah.
Because Germany is still working to reduce its dependence on Russian gas. It's mainly about Russian gas, because that's what powers a lot of the German factories. The chemical industry is very dependent on this, and they are like reducing it, but it's gone down. It used to be like I've got the actual figures here somewhere. Yeah, it used to be more than 50% of gas came from Russia, and now it's down to about 40% already. This is like within a month. Okay. But reducing it anymore is going to be quite difficult, because it would mean shutting down. Eventually, it will mean shutting down like the chemical factories in the West, which make a lot of fertilizer, and a lot of countries in the world import German fertilizer. And I don't know. It's kind of apparently it has a huge knock-on effect on the whole world economy, and it's really bad.
Okay, but
So we're not at that level yet. We don't have to. But in the second
these
stage,
Stufen, do they have like these steps? Do they have then like stuff that comes into place once that happens?
Yeah. So step 2,
as opposed to just letting us know how fucked we are.
When we get to level 2, that means that a disruption to supply or an extraordinarily high demand upsets the usual balance, but can still be corrected without major intervention.
Okay.
At that point, energy companies will be tasked with looking for alternative supplies, and so that that means that the companies themselves will have to figure out how to work it out so that it's distributed to keep everything running. Level 3 is when the government intervenes. Level 3 is when there are massive shortages in the network, and the government through the network regulator will have to decide who gets gas and who doesn't. Yeah, so that is those are the 3 stages, and yeah, Habeck introduced this plan the other day and said we're in level 1 now. So we'll have to see how it goes. But apparently, it is looking touch and go for the coming winter, if things keep developing as they are.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Good. I mean, yeah, but it's also...
And that's why
if that means we have a bit less... Oh, God, I don't know. But yeah, I think, don't we need to sort of do... Like, this is stuff that we need to do because this awful war is happening for no fucking reason. And meanwhile, we're paying Putin loads of shit, like money for gas.
We're paying loads more to Russia than we're paying to Ukraine in all the relief efforts. I mean, I think there was like a 2 billion.
Bad. Yeah. So there has been quite a lot on that vein, like quite a lot of criticism floating about.
Yeah.
Directed at German politicians for this reason.
Andriy Melnik. Mm-hmm. The Ukrainian ambassador in Germany, he has been criticizing a lot of leading figures in Germany, especially the president, Frank-Walter Steinmeier.
He got an absolute thing. And Steinmeier's usually like, oh, it's president, he sits in his nice house in Tiergarten. And people kind of like him. And he comes out to do speeches.
Yeah.
But
he's generally been a popular president.
Quite cross.
Yeah, he was cross anyway a couple of weeks ago because Steinmeier organized a solidarity with Ukraine concert, and then invited Russian musicians to play at the concert. And Melnik refused to go and said this was extremely poor taste. And then also it kind of came out because Steinmeier used to be the German foreign minister for a long time.
I didn't know that. Shockingly,
he was. I think he was Merkel's first foreign minister. But yeah, he was a foreign minister. But then he was like there when and he was one of the people that kind of wanted to build up ties, because this was the whole history of German relations with Russia, was trying to. It's not just Schröder. I know we had a big go at Schröder last time. But it was actually the whole government, the whole plan. I mean, Merkel's plan was also, to do as much business with Putin.
Well, she loved a bit of Nord Stream, didn't she?
She's, big Nord Stream fan. I mean, she kept it going.
Fan.
And Steinmeier was a big part of this. So I think there was a quote here about...
That's very ginny. I'm sorry. It is like, I'm not enjoying it, but instead of a Megacan, which is this sugary sort of alco-poppy really thing, this is just like...
Yeah. Wonder what's going to happen.
Mate and gin at like 4 a.m. in a house party because we've run out of vodka mate, so now we're using gin.
Well, it's rave fuel.
It is rave fuel, absolutely.
Steinmeier has... built up a spider's web of contacts with Russia for decades, was what Melnik said, and people were like, so yeah, and it's like kind of like and I was going to say this other thing is that he also had a go at Christian Lindner, who because he met Christian Lindner on the first day of the invasion in 24th of January, and he said this was the worst
conversation I've ever had with anyone, because Lindner basically said, well, Ukraine has only got a few more hours to survive. Like the Ukraine's going to be gone in a couple of days anyway. And he said, like, you haven't got a chance. And
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, and so like that was like obviously extremely upsetting for the ambassador and to hear from the German finance minister. And there's been a lot of criticism.
Where? I mean, is this a remark that's taken out of context, or is this?
It's something that it was a private conversation. It was something that Melnik said recently about his conversation with Lindner.
Like, even if you think that, and that was kind of the sort of maybe assumption on lots of sides that like Russia would just kind of thing. But if someone's coming away from that, I don't know, like, because maybe Melnik's obviously in this awful position where all he does every hour is go around and try and get German politicians to give him guns. And so you can imagine all of his frustration, but like, he's obviously not come away from that conversation with Lindner thinking, yeah, this lad's standing with us, or, like whatever he said, it was whatever way that was communicated has not landed in a way other than...
Yeah, this was an interview that Melnik gave to the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, where he said that Lindner was just sitting there with a polite smile on his face, that's in quotes, and Lindner said, quote, "You only have a few hours left." And then when Melnik suggested, maybe Russia should be cut out of the SWIFT system, Lindner said that is pointless because, Ukraine's not going to exist very much longer. And there was like what? Ooh. That was on the 24th of February, and that is probably what a lot of people thought at the time.
That's fine, but like we can think, like I can think, but I don't actually I'm not the finance minister of Germany. I have no power. And so if the fucking Ukrainian ambassador comes to me on day one of war, I might actually have a different response, because I'd be like, we could put some sanctions. I don't know. I feel like this is a little bit all kind of like he said, but I also just think Lindner gives me the absolute fucking boke.
Well, I don't think Lindner's not denied it.
Melnik has also been having some disagreement with Lambrecht, who's the new defense minister.
Yeah, no one seems to like Lambrecht.
I sort of listened to an interview with her on the radio a week or two ago, and honestly, I think she's someone who has been very kind of like maybe politically not interested in the military or anti-military, and now she's defense minister and there's a war not very far from Germany, and maybe, I don't know. That's certainly some of the...
Well, I think she wasn't...
It just all seems slow. I think I don't know anything, and I'm really glad that this is above my pay grade, but like, fuck the atrocities that are being carried out in Ukraine for no reason. Like, just the most senseless, nonsensical war. If we can send more like offensive weapons, make it stop.
Yeah, it's probably what has to be done now.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I don't love the idea of any of it, but is there any other way around it? Maybe.
Well, the debate has really changed. I mean, at the beginning of the war, there was much more of that kind of, there's much more equivocation and much more people saying, maybe, there was concern that it would only prolong the war rather than, like make a difference. And now, where Ukraine seems to be like turning the tide, at least in some way, some places, I don't know. And now it's much more, I think it's in Europe especially, there's a feeling that this is actually Europe's war, and that this is a fight for Europe's survival and integrity.
The idea that you can have sovereign states, and I think I don't think anyone should be, or I think like you said, it's changed, like this idea that was just like, well, in order to preserve Ukrainian lives, why not just give up? And I don't think anyone in Ukraine really, from what I've been hearing, is kind of into that idea. Because like, well, no, they've done too much now. Like, they've done all of this awful stuff, so fuck them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, you might as well... Could Germany not hurry it the fuck up?
Oh, yeah.
We constantly have these crumbling, ancient, like, oh, but we're... I know. It's always my same complaints. And I don't, like, it is hard. Obviously, it's hard. The new government were having to deal with the pandemic, and I was like, oh, we'll have a fucking war.
I know. I mean, especially for the Green Party. They were like,
do you know what we don't want?
We're going to tackle climate
dependence
change.
on Russian gas and militarization. And we're like, well,
the harsh realities of power, I guess.
Oh, Jesus.
Right.
Any good news? What's happening with refugees? Because we're still doing a great job with those in Berlin.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to... have you had any experience with refugees?
No. I think a lady is coming with cats to be in my flat on Sunday, maybe.
Oh, right.
Because there's also loads of animals that people... And like all these animal shelters and stuff, are... It's not...
Oh, I tried to adopt a cat the other day.
Did you? You want a cat?
But they were all outside cats, and I don't have an outside. I only have a balcony.
If you could bring a cat in here, we would have a cat during the Megacan. That would be amazing.
But it didn't work out because all the cats they were like from a home, but they were all outdoor cats.
Well, maybe you can get Ukrainian cat, but we'll see. Anyway,
we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Anyway, well, I don't know if it's good news, but it's
news.
It's lighter news. Do you have any feelings about Boris Becker? Do you have any comment? What are your opinions on?
I have many views on Boris Becker, which I don't think you were expecting when you asked me this question.
No. What's your main opinion about Boris Becker?
Boris Becker is obviously a tennis player, was a child prodigy, won his first Grand Slams at the age of when he was still a teenager.
Yeah, he's the youngest Wimbledon winner ever. Or
17, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But I think there was younger, what's her face? Tracy, whatever, was potentially younger. Can't remember. Anyway,
okay.
I love Wimbledon. It was a big thing in our family. We always watched Wimbledon all the time. And Boris Becker has become a sort of... not a favourite in our house, but on the BBC Wimbledon coverage, you get the best of all the commentators. It's just very well done commentary, apart from Boris Becker, who they keep on because people kind of have this weird soft spot for him. But he's literally the worst commentator, and we always make fun of him for that.
Well, I think the BBC likes him because he moved to London, didn't he? And he's...
Who knows?
And, yeah...
He
well,
also
I know
managed
this because of the news today about Boris Becker.
Oh. he just seems to be one of those people that's just perpetually, he's just hapless. Things happen to him. He's a big star, obviously with quite a lot of money. And then he had a weird, literally not even a one night stand, but he had sex with a waitress in a broom closet.
Yeah, that
at
was
a dinner.
About 20 years ago, yeah.
And managed in that small space of time to father a child. Obviously, I wish everyone involved well, but it's just I don't know. But last Wimbledon I saw him, I will say that I have no idea what the news story is. I have not heard this at all. But I do feel like he looked like he was struggling a little bit. He looked like he was not in the best of health.
Well, you've not been following the recent Boris Becker developments then, because he's been in court over his bankruptcy. When you say he has lots of money, he doesn't have much money now. So
oh dear,
he was found guilty today of hiding elements of his wealth because he declared bankruptcy and then started moving money around. And he's been, which is really illegal because you have to be honest when you declare bankruptcy. Yeah. So he kept a lot of his assets secret, and now he's been found guilty of 4 charges under the Insolvency Act, and he might even go to prison over this. So I don't know, but
I can't say that I am surprised.
Yeah. So he retired in, I think, 1999. But up until then, he was earning a lot of money, as you said. He earned about $50 million, it says here, through his professional career. But since then, he's not been earning quite as much.
when you become like an ex-pro, you become a commentator, and he is fantastically bad. Like commentators are supposed to like just comment and give their opinions, but he will just narrate the events as they're happening, like second service, net.
But he does 2 languages too. He does the German on Eurosport sometimes.
He does the English to an extent. I feel like I'm being very mean to Boris, but oh dear.
Yeah, so he's in trouble.
Oh,
he's been hiding money that he shouldn't have been hiding, and that's not good when you're in that situation. So, we wish him well. Hope he manages to figure out how to pay off his debts. That's all the news this week.
All right. Well, that was it.
That was it.
A bit of my Megacan. Hang on.
Okay. Any other?
How do you feel on your rave fuel?
Well, I am actually invited to a party this evening, so.
Oh.
Well, I say a party. It's more of a gathering. But I will be obviously in rave mode now. So those guys better watch out.
Get ready. Conrad is incoming.
I'm full of rave fuel.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like, it is effective.
You get used to
I'm
it.
absolutely blitzed.
I mean, I do get the kind of mixture of caffeine and alcohol is obviously a heady mixture.
And I think I used to drink quite a lot of mate. Having, when I first moved here, being absolutely so repulsed by it. I remember like going to my first German party here and had some German friends. They gave me a club mate. I was like, that is so disgusting. Like,
why do you drink this?
And now obviously it's great and it's good on a hangover and stuff, but it does give you this weird speeded out feeling of being very awake. This is definitely reminding me of certain feelings in clubs.
Which we won't go into.
No, absolutely not. We did talk briefly about refugees. Obviously, people are still doing like great stuff with the refugees. There was funding. The Bundes people did something. They're funding something. 1st of June, they get benefits. And there's also...
Okay. I don't know any about this, so...
I'm just going on literally about third-hand news at this stage. But we talked before about people volunteering at the train stations. And there's a sort of like group, they are completely kind of people who have just kind of come together and formed a kind of organization just to deal with this crisis called the Berlin Arrival Support. You can Google them. A lot of the stuff they talk over Telegram, and you can get into these groups. But so that's Berlin Arrival Support, and they really, really need volunteers down at the Hauptbahnhof. And you can look up and see when you can come, particularly if you speak Ukrainian, Russian, Arabic or Farsi or sign language, or really any language, because a lot of it is just kind of people are arriving, and if you can imagine fleeing your home, a lot of it is young mothers and children or older women. You've tried to pack everything you own into suitcases, and they really need help carrying bags, going from one platform to the other, working out where they need to go, these kinds of things. And it's very heartening hearing some of the thing that's sort of keeping me going. My boyfriend's down there as a Russian speaker, like kind of every day, and hearing like what people are doing is kind of, sort of inspiring. Like what people have been through and how optimistic they still are. And I taught some refugee kids this week for an hour, and it was a delight. Some looked entirely mortified and didn't want to talk to me, but a lot of my actual students don't. But lots of them coming here and being like, we would like to study here and we want to practice our English, and it's all good stuff.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll put a link to that on the Facebook page. Good
stuff.
Yeah.
All right. I'm wasted on rave fuel and I have to go to BER later.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're going somewhere.
I'm going home. I'm going home to the old country. It's Easter holidays.
Amazing. Okay, well, have a good flight.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the news, or at least delivering it in a sensitive way.
That's the best I can offer. It might not be all true, but it's sensitively delivered.
Honestly, I think the world could do with a lot more of this. Maybe Christian Lindner, the next time he has a traumatized and distraught fucking diplomat in his office, is just like, I'm just going to be kind. I could be truthful, or I could be fucking kind.
Yeah.
Have a good time, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.